Afternoon to you. How are you doing? Thank you. So I'll just share my screen and then off we go. Okay. Am I audible and clear?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Thank
Confirming.
you. Thank you and good afternoon to all of you. And I'm Satish Murthy here, and I'm pretty happy to be here to talk about Cohesity solution for next generation data management. And if you're new to Cohesity, we are a data management company and we provide data management solutions, including data backup, recovery, cloud solutions. We provide file and object services and beyond data migration to the cloud, lift and shift, cloning, test and dev, and plenty more in terms of data analytics. Right. So I have no relationship to talk about on that coffee maker. That's except the gift. But with that, let's get going. So next generation data management, Cohesity's next generation data management looks at simplicity at scale. We want to manage everything from one place and expand with ease. So in a very simple nutshell, your massive amount of data across different islands, across different data centers, how do you manage them? Can I manage it in a simple click? And that is where you want to head towards Cohesity. Zero trust security. You heard from a security company earlier. Cohesity is on the crux of where the last level of defense for your data. It is not on the network, it is not on your storage, but on the final repository where you need the zero trust security, where Cohesity helps in terms of detection, protection, and rapidly recover from ransomware attack, which is extremely important these days. Right? We'll go into depth of that. And we are powered by AI, where it helps you to improve your decisions faster and better with smarter capabilities, and also bringing in third-party extensibility where we could leverage marketplace, because you can't say Cohesity would do everything in the world to get your data secure, but we work with different partners and solutions and leverage all of them in our marketplace so that we could bring to you the extensibility in terms of protecting your data, right? Given that, let's have a look at where is AI today. AI here, I meant artificial intelligence. You look at learning thermostat, very simple device at your home, at your offices. It is very smart enough. It understands what things are. It understands heating and overheating and can switch off. Autonomous car, which we are very, very fascinated towards, whether it is Tesla and all these newer generation, they can manage their own driving. And this is the future that we are talking about. And also smarter apps, if you look at whether it is Uber, whether you look at Grab and all these interesting apps which can find where people are, where the demand is, and it can also map it to the number of drivers who are there and bring them to their matching business. So this is where AI is taking us, right? Beyond in medical sciences, beyond in driving, beyond in where things are in terms of business. So how does these things happen? These AI devices learn from the context. So they understand using smart sensors, they collect all these informations, be it a smart city, be it a smart device, be it smart cars, they learn and relearn and train. Once they do that, they then analyze this data using algorithms, right? And they start to correlate things, right? Whether it is metadata, whether it is data, how do I correlate these stuff and predict that would help you to do the decision making. If this is right, this is wrong, this might be okay, put your money here, put your money there, and so on. So it helps you with intelligent decision making, or to pick the right car or pick the right decision to do that. So this helps you with better outcome in terms of cognitive decision. Not for everything in the world, but for those repetitive tasks where you can leave it to AI to help you with some intelligent decision. Who, what, when, how, and why, right? So this is exact context where AI would help you. But if you look at AI, it goes beyond. You can actually do some programming. It can do beyond what it is doing today. You can set it for next day. You can say, do some intelligent work after this week, or you can say, reset to do some programming, right? And recommend me something better. So these are something that AI would help you. Now, in the data management, right in the data center, you want to work smarter, not harder. right? You want to automate from threat visibility. If there are threats, how do I protect my data? Use a smart assistant where something can tell you in the data center to take decisions, and also build these ecosystem integration with AI intelligence. So how cool that data center would be, right? Bringing some advanced technology right within the data structures. So Cohesity is in the forefront of AI in the data center. We help to do proactive IT operations, right? Whether it is unplanned downtime where it really matters, you have serious impact from your customer and have loss of productivity. Cohesity today helps in our data management platform to understand what components are going to fail, right? Especially from the Cohesity's data platform perspective, we have the ability using our cloud-based platform called Helios to detect degrading components. So assuming that there are bad blocks, we can isolate, we can let you know that this is about to fail and trigger an RMA that would bring a new disk back to you in your data center. Have reliability smarts and have integrity checks. So this is built inside Cohesity's Helios on our data platform, right? As I mentioned, Cohesity's platform does backup, file services, object services, test and dev, and analytics. We are one single platform that can scale and spawn both on-premises, the cloud, and the virtual data centers. We help in terms of data prediction using AI. How about you have challenges where you have under provisioning or over provisioning? So if you do over provisioning, you spend a lot of money, right? If you have under provisioning, you have massive challenges in terms of balancing when the business requirement hits. How can I scale my business? So these are some of the key challenges that you may face, an inability to handle data demand, right? I want to grow my data set. My application is writing and I need to scale my capacity. I don't have that intelligence. So if I pay more, I spend a lot. If I pay less, I don't have it right. So simulation with Cohesity Helios helps you with how much do you exactly need based on your trending, based on the real world metrics. If your Oracle database is growing at 10% every day or every year, then how much of backup capacity would you need is where Cohesity would help you to calculate with some real world metrics and time runway. So you exactly know, despite all the delays that we have today in shipment of hardware, you still need hardware, right? Even if it's a cloud provider, they still need hardware. So how can I scale and grow based on my requirements? And that is exactly Cohesity's intelligence comes in. We help in terms of cold data management. You know, cold data, maybe these are the data set, I would say 80 to 90% in any data center are generally having cold data. That means you don't use that. It is important, but you don't use them, or you hardly use them. That way you can understand. Then you need to move these cold data from your hottest tier to a cold tier or to the coldest tier based on your business requirement. These are the files are not so important for your business, but it may be required. So today you may use manual methods with limited visibilities and have multiple tools to jumble across. Cohesity's intelligence here is that we could have the ability to move this data set based on access rates, based on the type of file, based on the size of the file, automatically move from a hot tier to a cold tier, be it to the cloud, be it to a disk, cheaper disk. We could allow you to have seamless data tiering with Cohesity Helios. Now, you as a company or organization that may look at data policies, right? You are a company that works around the globe with different organizations. Your customers may be spread around Europe or Americas or across the Asia, where you need a lot of business policies to be adhered. Am I in my data center, am I adhering to GDPR compliance? I have no idea, right? Am I following CCPA? Am I following PCI standards? So these are all manual tagging that leads to more and more complexities out there. So across all these data sets, Cohesity uses deep learning and AI to help you to maintain different privacy standards across different data types and help you and your organization understand, to help you to classify this data and park them with the different policies that you need to enforce so that you follow these compliance rules with different agencies. Now, Cohesity's AI tool also helps you with ransomware detection. Now, ransomware, as you heard, can just appear, right? It can come through an email. If I receive, as Satish, I receive 3 days and 4 nights in Boracay, I would double click that email. I'm so happy because I'm stuck in COVID at home for last 1-2 years. So I would double click that email, but trust me, I have no idea that that email had ransomware. So the ransomware lands on my laptop, can stay very, very quiet. And this ransomware can percolate to my database servers, my application servers, my Active Directory, then can impact my storage, then can impact my DR. So how does Cohesity help here? The detection becomes too late and it can cost really multi-millions and even more damage to your brand. So Cohesity helps in a very, very interesting, intuitive way because we are the last level of defense for your data. There are security tools. There are many ways that you can prevent. But if they would have prevented, the data would not have so much of impact. So we see the final data repository is where Cohesity needs to protect your data, which is your last level of defense. We help customers to understand different backup patterns, correlate with ingestion, entropy, and help you based on the feed that we could actually tell you if there is ransomware threat on the data or not. So imagine this curve is your normal incremental backup, and this curve is your unusual data backup after encryption because of ransomware. So we help to detect these threats and let you know, dear customer, you have an impact on this particular VM. We believe it is ransomware. Please check and revert rapidly into your data center. So being the last level of defense is extremely important because all the tools you can have as security tools helps you to protect your network and other primary data. This is your last level of defense. Why not you have them? If you have the last $100, where would you keep? In a final vault that is absolutely secure. And that is exactly what we mean to your business data. Now, real-time threat detection. How about sensitive data leak? Who is double-clicking email? Who is reading it? Who is writing it? Who are touching the file? Who has access to it? Nobody knows about it. If there is a salary.xls, if everybody in the company knows about it, that is the most dangerous thing, right? Who has sensitive data leak, insider attack, and unified view? So Cohesity's Helios today, we look into protecting hypersensitive data. We look at the dashboard to help you with that. We help you to see if there are compromise in credentials and so on. So this AI-powered ecosystem, which is one single tool, which is a SaaS-based or an on-premises tool, which is Helios today, we help in terms of vulnerability scanning, anti-malware, and threat detection right within your data center. Now, that is great to hear. Now, how about the biggest challenge we all have, which is ransomware? See, ransomware has been evolving over time. Ransomware has a massive blast radius. So every day you hit the news, you would read something new about ransomware. These guys are developing faster and furious. They encrypt production data. They destroy the backup. They steal data. And that is a serious impact, right? If you ever thought your IT is extremely secure, you got a DR site, everything out there, all sige, everything is good. You think your data is safe, that is very dangerous because the IT learning that we all did, having a DR site, having a protection against VM failure, having a protection against corruption, that's all done. We are talking about a giant of a problem which can impact your business as good as a COVID. It can cripple the data center in next few minutes. Are we ready to restore your entire data center rapidly if need be? If the business is not ready, that means it's very, very critical to take a step forward in terms of protecting your data against ransomware. So ransomware, if you look at the breach by the numbers, 81% of the ransomware attacks lead to exfiltration threat. So that means I've stolen the data. If you don't pay me money, good luck to you, right? Second, 2x impact, 10% of all data breaches involve ransomware, right? Thirdly, the average cost is about $4.5 million. So an IT solution is much, much cheaper in terms of protecting and preventing your last set of data rather than spending $4.5 million for somebody else. So what we heard from you, from customers, is that everybody of you almost want to detect threats earlier, right? I would be wondering why not 100%, but the poll said 95%. Ransomware is changing how IT and business are thinking. 80% of the business is now rethinking and recalibrating that how can I prevent ransomware from impacting a big one. Thirdly, the strategies, 80% of the business are now looking at strategies and changing their data management strategy that would help against ransomware, protecting the data against ransomware. And 72% of them said, yes, data management is a part of organization's data security strategy. Earlier, data team were different, security team were different. They had their own job to do. Now, for the first time, these guys, bad guys, are making us to think together. And that is fantastic. So let's look about 2 to 3 years ago, we had ransomware 1.0, right? Very simple guys called WannaCry. It did not make a big threat, but until cryptocurrencies growth, ransomware growth is having a serious curve upwards. So Cohesity had a solution 2 to 3 years ago as well, where production data was encrypted. So we are a backup company. We do backups and we run the backup. So then we had the ransomware infection that would start somewhere. Encryption would happen because of ransomware. They would finish the encryption and ask you for money. Right? They would ask you for money, saying, this is your Bitcoin wallet, transfer here, good luck with your data. Then what does Cohesity do? We work with you. We can detect such patterns, right? And we can investigate and help you to recover rapidly. This was great for WannaCry, right? We help you to recover this data and we help you to recover. So this is fantastic. So Cohesity came with a solution for users, application, automation, and different data sources. And we built a solution with full fault tolerance, encryption at rest and on the fly with data resiliency structures. We built access control, which will give you multi-factor authentication, role-based access control and auditing. And we also had detection and analytics with anomaly detection. This was fundamentally great, combating ransomware 1.0. So we built this structure to rapidly recover from ransomware attack. So was this great? This was great. 2 years ago, we all had great time protecting data. I mean, if you're not ready for this, you better change, right? Now the change is that ransomware evolved about 2 years ago. They came out with ransomware 2.0. See, bad guys also improve. So they came with a 2.0. Not only they impact your primary data, okay, they understand companies are taking backup. And they also understand smart guys like Cohesity exists. So then they now start deleting the backup. Oh, that is a big threat. So companies, including one of our customers called Skylakes Hospital, they thankfully leverage Cohesity technology to prevent ransomware 2.0. So you can actually read through and Google search. There's plenty of videos how Skylakes prevented 2.0 attack with Cohesity. They went on public saying that they were affected by RYUK. RYUK is one of the ransomware that can be silent for 50, 60 days and then can serious impact on the primary data and your backup data. So Cohesity had to come up with a solution to solve ransomware 2.0. So we combated with the 1.0. That wasn't enough. So we added 2.0 solution. We went on to the drawing board and made sure 2 years ago, we made our backups absolutely immutable. So you can't destroy the backup. We protect the backup so that even if the primary is gone, the immutability exists. So we add resilience against ransomware and tamper-resistant archives that protect your data. We added quorum so that no single user, administrator have full access. That is also a bigger problem. You would agree, right? Admin having all the privileges, he or she can destroy anything, right? And continuous monitoring was added along with zero trust. So we added zero trust and to protect against ransomware 2.0, that kind of helped us. It kind of helped us against the wave, which is the scenario where primary data and the backup data were destroyed, but they can't destroy the tamper-proof archives. So this was fantastic. But how about the bad guys? The bad guys went on to develop. Furthermore, in August 2021, they created a lockbit algorithm, right? So these guys, as I said, they evolved with cryptocurrency. For example, they went on to attack the data of Bangkok Airways, where you can do a Google search. So not only that they could do the destruction or encryption of primary data, not only that they could destroy the backup, they could also go on to steal the data. So they started exfiltrating data from a customer like Bangkok Airways. So they literally exfiltrated 200 GB of data, this including passengers PII, which is extremely dangerous, right? That means your data is going public, and very soon, if you do not pay money, they would expose you to the dark web. So the ransomware guys are getting smarter and smarter and smarter. Now, not only the primary data is gone, your backup is gone, but they also started stealing data. That is even more dangerous. Now look at the evolution of ransomware. So they saw this on 23rd August. They had a media coverage very, very soon, right? Imagine not every company can survive so easily, right? Once you're out exposed very fast, the brand image goes down, customers will move away. Hey, my bank data is getting out, my financial instructions are going out. That is a terrible scenario. So Cohesity went on to develop, going back to drawing board, that we have to evolve because exfiltration is a big problem. And our anomaly detection is after the backup. And that is a problem because ransomware 3.0 has evolved. So we went on to understand that detection has to be done very, very early, right? So we need to do the moment infection happens, we need to immediately detect them. So, and then investigation. But however, Cohesity's uniqueness is that we can still recover rapidly, right? We can restore back all set of data set. Our proprietary technology allows you to recover over 20,000 virtual machines in less than 40 minutes. So that technology still works, but we had to develop a detection capability right very, very early. You know, you all have all the security tools. That is not enough. You still need your repository, your last level of defense to be protected even more than anything else. So we believe that we had to add data security and data governance to be converged. Who has data security wise, who has access to the sensitive data? How do you know that? How do you know that you're not leaking data? I have no idea. How do you know that there are data governance issues? Like, where is your sensitive data? How do you prove compliance issues? So we needed to converge these two and come out with a solution where we could look at different aspects to bear for an IT, identifying sensitive data, streamlining and compliance reporting. That means you first identify them, and then you look at how do I streamline them in terms of your data, remediate if there are challenges, and use or leverage AI to respond to different scenarios. And that is exactly what Cohesity did. We built a threat defense architecture that has zero trust at the core, has data resiliency at the core, made sure that we could recover from ransomware attack, ransomware resilience, operational failures, natural disaster recovery, and tamper-resistant architecture, and built our threat defense architecture with more powerful, more stronger anomaly detection, near real-time threat detection, data classification, which we added newly, behavioral analytics, because if somebody is doing manipulation, you got to know. And all of these, we added AI at the core of this to make sure that we can help you to protect your last level of defense, right? Against any of these bad actors on destroying your data, destroying your backups, destroying or stealing your last level of defense. So given that is the core, battling this scourge, Cohesity, when there was ransomware 1.0, we came up with phenomenal innovation, immutable backup, continuous data protection or CDP. We added instant mass recovery. If you have a disaster, quickly recover back for your business, and anomaly detection, right? This was 1.0. For 2.0, we added data lock and isolated vault, because these bad guys not only destroy the data, but also the backup data. So we had to protect them with data lock and isolated vault. And finally, with bad guys improving their quality, we as good guys have to improve further with you, right? So we added data governance recently to protect the data even further. So we added data protect, which is part of the Cohesity solution for backup. that with absolute security. And for your data security, we added Project Fort Knox that allows you to lock your data with immutability and data governance to protect and govern and classify your data. Some of the best practices that I would love to share today is make sure that you protect your backups, right? It's not just your data, protect your backups, because the wheel, not for one day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, whatever it is, make sure that data is protected. Inventory workloads and data assets. So make sure that you have the inventory to enforce data protection, right? There are many applications turned on new, no backup is done, right? Because of cost, because of other issues and so on. Turn on data lock, make sure that it is immutable. Make sure that you multiply your backup copies, one on premises, one on the cloud, one on isolated vault, to protect your core critical data set or database or your customer data. Secure your environment, use multi-factor authentication, right? Make sure that that is available. Make sure that you use different privileged credentials. Do not have one super user who can do everything and destroy as well, right? That is even more dangerous. Grant least privilege to personnel based on their duties, and keep the data management platform and the workloads up to date. Most of our customers who are infected in ASEAN with ransomware, when we check on them, the RCA or the root cause analysis is saying that there was one particular server which was having Windows 2000, Windows 2002 with a particular network driver which was never updated. That is enough for hacking. That is enough for bad guys to come in as ransomware, right? Know your crown jewels, right? Make sure that you discover sensitive data, which is most critical. Do not overexpose them, and make sure that you identify unusual behaviors and patterns in your data set. And finally, prepare your organization. Make sure that you have an advanced technology like Cohesity to make sure that you could practice recovery at a rapid pace, right? Recovering in next 3 days, next 10 days is not a game anymore, because things like COVID can attack your data center, right? That is a medical problem. Ransomware can infect the entire data center and bring the entire data center to its knees. Can we recover from that in next 2 hours, next 5 hours, next 1 day? Can you recover that? Make sure that you have best practices around that, right? You need advanced technology. The legacy technology that you already use, you know that, right? If I give you a phone 15 years ago, would you take that? Right? Simple. You can't do many things. You can't book a car. You can't book many things. You can't do internet banking. Simple device, right? It used to be a great phone. It had a great battery, but even if I give it for free, you won't take it. Same thing with technology. If your new technology is available that can do a rapid recovery, why not choose that, right? Employ a layer defense, and make sure that your security skills and assessment for people also up in the trend, right? So that the teams are well aware, whether it is data team, the security team, they're thorough in terms of what they're dealing with. So Cohesity's threat defense architecture is to ensure that we can secure your next generation data management. We from Cohesity is one common software that encompasses on-premises, cloud, and the edge, right? We have Cohesity Helios at the core with data resiliency, access control, and detection analytics. Today, Cohesity helps you with data protection, with rapid recovery from ransomware, resilience, that being tamper-proof. Cohesity's file system is completely immutable. So when you write a data block and you overwrite, we never write to the same block again, right? Recover from operational failures, recover from natural disasters. So that is core of this context, and also tamper-resistant archives. So that's all about ransomware. Now, how about data governance? You need a solution that can identify sensitive data, right? How do I know if that is sensitive? So somebody declares that, so you need to identify them. And then address compliance risk. How do you know if there are Philippine passport number inside, if there are credit card numbers inside a repository? I have no idea before I pass it to a third party. How do I detect and remediate based on your bank's policy, based on your healthcare policy, based on your business policies? So this is the growing blast of ransomware radius, right? So you can see this radius increasing. They have big problems creating for the enterprise, right? They destroy the primary data, they destroy the backup, they now start exfiltrating. So you need a rapid recovery from backup if this first thing happens. The second thing happens, like destroying backups, you need to provide immutability and isolation, right? So that the backup is protected. Thirdly, you need data security and governance so that exfiltration does not happen. Sensitive data is extremely protected. So with Cohesity, we want to bring down and flatten the curve of this blast radius so that we can provide you absolute data security in your last level of defense, right? We want to flatten the curve so that your business can run perfectly fine, right? So our vision is to protect everything, everywhere with Cohesity, be it on the cloud, be it on the data center, whether it is you are managing it or Cohesity managing it or service provider managing it, doesn't really matter, right? Any data, whether it is backup or DR on the cloud or the data center, we want to protect the same. So Cohesity today has comprehensive coverage. So we protect and back up all these environments. We provide virtualization, containers backup. So we are modernized to the latest, right? We can do VMware Tanzu, we can do OpenShift and all these backups to the latest. We support most of the modern databases and the old databases as well, like Oracle, SQL, DB2, Mongo, Hadoop, and all these Cassandras and all these architectures, right? Unstructured data, be your data on a Windows file server or any of these architectures, we support these backups. We support cloud-based infrastructure for seamless backup, including Microsoft 365 suite, right? Teams, OneDrive. What if the cloud goes bust tomorrow? Is your data protected? Great story to talk about cloud. Nothing happens is nothing. Never say never, right? So how do you protect that data? Make sure that you have a copy somewhere else, right? So that's important to understand. So what does Cohesity really do in terms of backup? This is legacy architecture that we fundamentally know. If you have a large backup stream, they are very slow to stream and complete the backup. Cohesity, on the other hand, on the left side, we take a data set, break it into chunks, and write it in parallel. So we accelerate the backup significantly faster, right? So that drives your better SLA, that also reduces the surface attack for ransomware, right? We also add on smart files, which is basically a new approach for files and objects. Again, underneath, you can have any storage, any server underneath. These are general purpose compute, but we are truly software defined to bring NFS, SMB, S3, and Swift. So you can have an object storage within your enterprise. You could have file services within an enterprise. Your Windows and Linux can cooperate together. And you have native antivirus. You have compliance, analytics, and data management built inside Cohesity. So this architecture has analytics built in to say who did what, when, why. If a user called John goes in and deletes thousands of files, no company can tell today. I have a petabyte of file, and if nobody is touching it, how do you know? Who will tell you? So you need an architecture that tells you, hey, CIO, there is a user called John who deleted 1,000 files yesterday. That's very, very important to know. So with that, I thank you very much for the given opportunity. I'll take some questions as they are and try to answer them right now. Let's look at some of these questions. Okay, I see a question. To tear down the wall, do we need Cohesity and Cisco SecureX to solve top data security challenges with an integrated solution? Thank you, Richard. That's a great question. Of course, yes, we correlate and work with SecureX. We have a great integration to make sure that secure system works together, both in terms of networking, in terms of the blade architectures of Cisco, the HyperFlex, and the Cohesity together. So that is absolutely true for compliance and data security. There's another question from Singson. Can Cohesity encrypt enterprise databases? Absolutely true. We support AES 256 with FIPS certification for data on the flight as well as data in the rest, right? So we support both of them. Absolutely true. Right, there's a question again, can Cohesity be used for restoration not caused by ransomware? Absolutely, yes, again. So we can do a rapid restore of your data so that your business can come back to normal. With or without ransomware doesn't really matter. So all of these are protecting data, ensuring that your business can come back to normal, ensuring that you can run your business, and we protect your last level of defense. With that, I thank you very much, and thank you. Going back to MC. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I think we still have 8 minutes to address the questions. We have one in the chat box.
Awesome, thank you. So can Cohesity be used for restoration, not caused by, okay, so this is Q&A. This one I addressed already. I think where I need.
Chat window, please.
Chat window, okay, perfect. Keep your questions coming.
Can you explain how? Yes, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, lovely question. Can you explaining how the license works? So Cohesity is a very unique solution. We are a hardware agnostic solution. So that means we could run on most of the certified hardware, whether it is HP, Cisco, Dell, and Fujitsu, and all the servers out there, right? We qualify a lot. Now, how does our solution licensing work? Our licensing works on your backend terabyte. So what does that mean? You have 100 terabyte of data. We apply inline dedupe. We apply inline compression. So your 100 terabyte becomes 10 or 20 terabyte. That's the only license you need to procure. So I repeat, we are based on the backend terabyte after dedupe, after compression. So your source may be 100. After dedupe and compression, if Cohesity's tool says you only need 10, you only procure 10. Make sense? So that would help you in terms of reducing costs significantly. So I also see a question about, does Cohesity support legacy database system? Absolutely, yes. So we support most of the legacy databases, whether it is DB2, Postgres. We also support Oracle. We support Teradata. We support plenty of other applications, MongoDB, Cassandra, Hadoop, CockroachDB, and plenty of other databases. That makes sense. We also support Kubernetes. For the modern applications, and all the hypervisors we support agentless. So we can just do a VADP backup. We do a CDP backup for VMware. We also support Nutanix and the other hypervisors out there. Now you may ask me, where do I need agent? So Cohesity does support agents for physical servers, whether it is Oracle, if it is a Windows server or a Linux server, where you install the agent and pull the data